What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of the Philly Faithful Podcast, the daily one-stop shop for news, updates, and opinions on your Philadelphia Phillies. My name is Troy Brock. I am the host of this show. You can find me on socials at Troy B Baseball, and you can find the show on socials at Philly Faith Pod, faith spelled just like Philly with the PH. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. It helps us out tremendously. And if you're watching on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification icon so you can be notified when more episodes just like this one go live. I'm going to try not to be angry today, and I'm going to try to remain calm because this was expected. I expected to go into tonight's game and lose. And we did not lose it. I mean, we did lose it in the way I expected because Rob Thomson blew the game once again. And now the Philly season is over because of Rob Thomson. But I expected Ranger Suarez to be the one to allow a lot of runs. And he did not. He did not. That, good on him. He did not. He went 4 1/3. Did not give up any runs. He allowed a lot of base runners, but he did not allow any runs. So that's good. He was stuck with way too long. And then when Thompson went to Jeff Hoffman in the 5th inning, that worked out. That was another move I didn't like. Probably should have went to anybody else, but it worked out. But again, good outcomes does not equal a good decision. What was not a good decision was after Jeff Hoffman got out of the 5th without allowing any runs. The Phillies were up 1-0. Jeff Hoffman got out of the 5th without allowing any runs. And he sat in the dugout for the top of the 6th inning while the Phillies were, taking their plate appearances in the top of the 6th inning. He sat in the dugout for 20 minutes at minimum because the Phillies were putting up good at-bats. They put up good at-bats tonight. Regardless of what the score shows, the Phillies put up good plate appearances tonight for the most part. I mean, not every plate appearance was good, but for the most part, they put up good plate appearances tonight. And far and away better than last night. So can't fault the offense for the one run. But Jeff Hoffman sat in the bullpen for 20 minutes at least because of the good plate appearances in the top of the 6th inning. Multiple base runners, 2 pitching changes in the inning for the Mets. And then in the bottom of the 6th inning, you know who comes out after the adrenaline dump in the 5th inning and then sitting for well over 20 minutes in the top of the 6th inning? Jeff Hoffman. Gotta love Rob Thomson, man. He just outdoes himself every single game. That man outdoes himself. So Jeff Hoffman doesn't have it in the 6th inning, obviously, because adrenaline dump in the 5th inning, sat in the top of the 6th inning for 20 plus minutes. And then Hoffman loads the bases. So he does get one out. Hoffman does get one out. So cool. Good job. You got an out. Loads the bases. Couple of walks, hit by pitch, couple of wild pitches in there to load the bases. And it's still 1-0. And who does Rob Thomson go to out of the pen with the bases loaded and 1 out? Let me go back a little bit. In last night's game, Francisco Lindor hit an RBI double off of 2024 MLB trade deadline acquisition Carlos Estevez. The guy that was brought in to be a high leverage reliever for the Philadelphia Phillies, and has not been good at that whatsoever, and has proven that his tenure with the Angels was a fluke, and him being one of the best healthy player on a really, really bad team. And so he gave up an RBI double to Francisco Lindor in last night's ball game. 1 out, bases loaded, 1-run ball game. Who does Rob Thomson turn to out of the pen to relieve Jeff Hoffman and to face Francisco Lindor as the first batter out of the pen? You probably guessed it, Carlos Estevez. If you got it right, good job. If you got it wrong, then you're probably smarter than Rob Thomson, because literally anybody in their right mind that understands baseball any amount would have went to anyone else but Carlos Estevez in that situation, with the body of history that he has shown us and his tenure with the Phillies, and with the RBI double that he gave up to Francisco Lindor in last night's ball game 24 hours ago. Just 24 hours ago. So Jeff Hoffman gets pulled. In comes Carlos Estevez to face Francisco Lindor. And quickly on Francisco Lindor, my camera is falling because I'm moving too much. Oh, the sticky is going away on my camera. Sorry about that. I'm going to fix it. All right, there we go. Quickly on Francisco Lindor. I don't care who you are or what you do. He's not an MVP. He's not an MVP candidate. Not a single MVP ever would have an 838 OPS in the regular season and a 138 OPS plus in the regular season. That is not an MVP caliber season. He might be the Mets MVP on their team, but he is not a National League MVP. He should not be in contention for the National League MVP. And if the voters give him some first place votes, they need to lose all of their votes, because that is just dumb. But back to Carlos Estevez versus Francisco Lindor, with one out and the bases loaded in the bottom of the sixth in a one-run ball game. I don't remember what pitch of the at-bat it was, but what does Francisco Lindor do? You ask, and if you didn't watch the game, you might not know. Does he? We'll do a multiple choice here. Does he A, ground into a double play? Does he B, pop out on the infield? Does he C, hit a sac fly and tie the game? Does he D, hit a grand slam? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. If you pick D, you would be correct, because he hit a grand slam. The only thing that was missing is Matt Vasgersian going, Lindor with a drive! And Fox's commentary team is just absolutely atrocious. For the record, they literally could not be any more biased for the Mets. It was just a joke all series. But Francisco Lindor hits a grand slam to give the Mets a 4-run lead in the bottom of the sixth. And I'm going to be honest with you. Once he hit that grand slam, I pretty much tuned out. The game was on in the background. I played on my phone because it was over. There was no coming back from that, especially with Rob Thomson as the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. Because Rob Thomson is not a manager. He's just not. He cannot be a manager of a World Series contending baseball team. He blew 2 games in the National League Division Series, a 5-game series. If you blow 2 games in a 5-game series, just single-handedly blow 2 games in a 5-game series, you need to go. You need to go, because you're not good at your job. And it's just been a consistent pattern of incompetence and inability to do a major league caliber managerial job. And I will give some flowers, to use slang from today, to the Mets manager, Carlos Mendoza. I've been wanting to do this for a few episodes on here, as well as on the national podcast, First Pitch. I can't remember the dude's name, but I made sure I remembered his name this time, because I want to give him some flowers. Outside of being way too confident in Edwin Diaz's ability as a closer, Carlos Mendoza is a really, really good manager. I will give him that. He is a very good manager. And the rest of baseball is lucky that he doesn't have a better team to work with as a manager, because he would probably perennially win the World Series if he had a better team to work with. Because once again, I would like to remind each and every single person listening to this or watching this on YouTube that this was not a Mets victory. None of this series was a Mets victory. This was the Phillies just rolling over and dying. That's all it was. It was the offense in last night's game, along with some Rob Thomson incompetence, but it was mostly the offense in last game. All of last night's game cannot be put on Rob Thomson. Some of it, yes, not all of it. Game 1 that the Mets won, completely Rob Thomson. Tonight's game, game 4 that the Mets won, and are now moving on to the National League Championship Series to face most likely the Padres, who they will very much lose very handily to. Tonight's game was on Rob Thomson. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts, there's no questions about it. Tonight's game was on Rob Thomson. Rob Thomson single-handedly blew the season for the Philadelphia Phillies, and he's been doing it for a while now. He did it last year with Craig Kimbrell. I don't remember which episode I brought it up on. I complain about Rob Thomson a lot, and I'm probably going to continue to complain about Rob Thomson because he continues to give me things to complain about him about. But it was either this morning's episode or it was last night's episode where I talked about Craig Kimbrell from the 2023 National League Championship Series. The Phillies had that series in the bag. Craig Kimbrell blew a save and gave the Diamondbacks hope. And I'm pretty sure it was a clinching game for the Phillies. And then you know what happened the next night? Very next game. Rob Thomson put him back at the same exact situation. And you want to know what happened then? I'm not going to do a multiple choice this time because it's well in the past. Everybody knows about it. Craig Kimbrell blew it again. He was not good in the regular season last year. So why? The bullpen usage is atrocious. The bullpen would be much better if they were used properly. The starters are left in way too long. Ranger Suarez was left way too long tonight. By no means should he have been pitching in the 5th inning. He shouldn't have been pitching in the 3rd inning. He loaded the bases in the 1st and the 2nd inning. I don't care that he got out of it. He still did it. And he was still well over 50 pitches through 2 innings. Go to your bullpen. It's the postseason. You're off tomorrow. Regardless, win or lose, you're off tomorrow. Go to your bullpen. You can't overuse them. Christopher Sanchez was available out of the bullpen. Go to him in the 3rd. Let him pitch the 3rd and the 4th. He's a lefty. It doesn't make sense. And I've been banging this drum for a while. There's a lot. There's a lot of Rob Thomson idiocracy that we can complain about throughout his tenure as the manager of the Philadelphia Phillies. And believe me, I will do a full episode just breaking down the idiocracy of Rob Thomson and his incompetence as a major league manager. There's a reason why he was a bench coach for as long as he was without being a manager of any team at any level. And it's because he's not good at it. He doesn't understand baseball. He has no feel for the game. And he has made that very evident time and time again. And as long as he is the manager of of any team in Major League Baseball, he will continue to make that evident time and time again because he doesn't learn from his mistakes. A wise man once said, "Do you want to know the definition of insanity? The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome." Do you know what's insane? Continuing to employ Rob Thomson as your manager. It's an early offseason for the Philadelphia Phillies in a year where on paper they were the best team in baseball. There's no question about it. They have the deepest roster, they have the best pitching staff, they have one of the best bullpens, and it probably again would be the best bullpen if it was managed and used properly. So there's probably not going to be an episode of the Philly Faithful podcast tomorrow just because I don't really have anything prepared to talk about tomorrow. And maybe Friday we'll have an episode. This is not the end of the podcast. That would be dumb. I just started it last week. But as it stands right now, the plan is either to have an episode on Friday and then go to a Monday through Friday or Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, one of those. But regardless, there will be no episode of the Philly Faithful podcast tomorrow. So earliest episode coming up will be Friday. And if it's not Friday, it will be Monday. But follow the pod on your listening service of choice. If it's iTunes, Spotify, either of those, and give us a 5-star rating while you're there because it helps us tremendously. And if you watch on YouTube, leave a like, leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, and turn that notification icon on so you will be notified when that new episode goes live. You can follow me on Twitter at Troy B Baseball. Mostly just retweet a bunch of stuff that I write for Sports Illustrated on that account, and that's about it, especially since now I have the podcast account, which is for Phillies baseball. And I'll definitely let y'all know on the Philly Faithful podcast Twitter account when the next episode will be. So follow that at Philly Faith Pod, spelled just like the podcast. And until that next episode, whenever it may be, I've been Troy. Y'all been awesome, except for Rob Thomson. Peace, love, and rock and roll. This is a rock and roll shirt. I'm out. Bye.